Before I get started, please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more music marketing related videos, just like this one. IGTV, so they're just currently launching their monetization of the IGTV channel where they're introducing ads like YouTube. So you can monetize your content on YouTube by if you get so many views with ads, you can get a cut of that, right? So you get a cut of the ads cost that people. So they're doing the same now for IGTV. So then you get the same payout. I think it's 55%, if I something around there. Correct me if I'm wrong. Where it's the same, but it's identical as YouTube. So that essentially can then, if you create good content on Instagram, you can actually Instagram will start paying you now,
Yeah. So that means people need to be creating a lot more content, not even just on the feed, but across all the different four neighborhoods. Oh,
yeah, and it's so easy to create content. It's so easy to create. You have video editing tools like free that you can use, and you can take any video and just put text over it and put some graphics over it. Like anyone is, even my 8-year-old son is a video editor through TikTok these days. Awesome. I mean, anyone can create good videos. So it's just getting those creative ideas and also, creating valuable content that's representing yourself and your music and your brand,
So I think that's so true. I mean, funny enough, I actually got an IG DM today from an artist who said, "Oh, I saw," and there's a post I put up like about 5 months ago, and I tagged it kind of music manager because I manage recording artists, and it's like, "Oh, I came across your feed based on this hashtag that you had used." And I'd used that hashtag 6 months ago. So someone is discovering me 6 months later based on something I posted 6 months ago, based on just using a certain hashtag, to have that content discovered, which I thought, it still amazes me, although I know it kind of works, but it still makes you think like, wow, people are still obviously using hashtag to kind of make stuff searchable, which is really, really, really key.
Because it's essentially a search engine, so it's you can. As long you just have to make sure, like when you post, I go technical. When you post on your website, you make sure that you're optimizing the search engine so it will come up when people search for certain things, right? It's the same when you share content on Instagram. You need to at least make sure that it pops up on the different search engines that is possible. And the good hashtag, the number is to use this now 9. It went from 30 to 9, and then you should combine with some small and some very specific. That's the.
I think a lot of artists don't realize by just even adding the location of where you are can make your content discoverable in whatever region you're in, especially when it comes to, for example, I'm in New York now. I went to New York for an event or something, or I'm trying to communicate. You posted a picture that you put up last year when you were in New York, and you hashtag and you put that location in. People don't realize how much difference it can make on your post being seen or being discovered.
No. So the way that I do it, because I'm a digital nomad, I can be wherever I want. So if I choose to be, if this content is relevant for my people in New York, I'm going to tag the location for my, being in New York. Right. And that makes it discoverable so let's say I create a post about A$AP Rocky and his branding and what he does and how he infuses that in interior design and everything else that he's doing. Tag the location as, New York, because he's New York. He's a New York kid, Then, my feed will then be seen in the New York feed, in the New York location. It will come up there. So, it's for a musician, it can be a strategic way. Let's say they're going to go on tour. They could start then communicating and being seen in other locations before they come there, You post on Instagram, essentially, if you don't mark your content, I call it marking, that you're tagging almost. It's not going to be seen by anyone else than your followers. So if you don't mark your content with hashtags or location or tagging other people, there's different ways of marking your content. And you should do that, optimize each post on every single way. But hashtags is a good way because people actually use hashtags as search engines, so you can get some traffic from this. So if you don't use the hashtags in the caption, you don't mark it, you're not seen on these feeds. So essentially you're losing, you're losing traffic. So if you don't if I say mark your content is just going to be seen to your followers, and that's fine. If you just want to communicate with your followers, that's fine.
Seven
That's the
percent,
best thing, you know.
7% of your followers.
7%. So at least create some more content, so then a lot of can see it. But put some hashtags and be strategic with your hashtags. Be specific. Don't put music, that has how many million.
10 million.
You're gonna drown in that feed. Think very, very, very specific with hashtags and a good number. Try to look for the hashtags that are 1 million and below in visibility and posts. Try to compete there. Content creators out there post 2 to 3 times a day on the feed only, and then they use the story, and then they use live. So think of Instagram as your post is only seen for very, very few amount of your followers. Even if you have 5,000 followers, when you post, maybe 3,000, or not even, maybe
I had like 7%. Like
right?
Just only 7% of your audience actually sees your whole feed.
Sees your post. The more you post, the better odds you have for people to see your content. It's all metrics, right? So. Yeah. And of course, you need to then not just post to post, So that's why also you need, it's like working out. When you start actually creating this, and what I want to learn musicians is that when they're doing the music creation, when they're in the process, if they can also bring the content creation with them in that same process, they're doing 2 things at the same time.
Yeah. So they're able to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Awesome.
Yeah, because what they do is like they always finish like, oh, I'm just going to finish my song, and then I can start working on what's going to be promoted. It's like, missing out on it.
Totally.
How do they plan? I mean, because now when they know they have these content ideas and there's so much content to create, they need to have some sort of continuous yes. content. They need to create content on a continuous basis. So not only what can you create one time, think of your Instagram as like, what are you going to share every week? Like, Wednesday I'm devoting to, that's when I'm sharing my music, process. So every Wednesday I'm creating, a video where I'm sharing the process. And if you do this over time, your followers will also get to know you and your communication and the way that you're communicating as well. So that's where the planning comes, because you have all of these different formats that you can create. But then you have to start testing them, and that's done through consistently over time.
Awesome. I like that idea. So it's kind of like creating a content calendar, isn't it? You have a different theme for every single day. Yeah. And obviously, I know about creating categories for content that you want to create. Can you speak a bit more about how do you put in different themes for content that you obviously want to create that could help kind of inspire, artists to kind of come up with ideas, like just having content buckets, so to speak?
Yeah. So what I do, I categorize, right? So I like every day gets a theme. So let's say, you need to create some content with you sharing the process. Yeah. That's one type of content. You need to create some content of you as a non-musical, person, your other interests. You need to create some that's selling your music, because you also need to sell your music on top of everything. So that's what everyone is doing now. That's all their posts. But once a week, if you're doing everything else, that's okay. And then you can create maybe some content around some interest areas. Let's say your personality is motivational. Then you should devote also some real estate on your channels on that, like with that type of content as well. So I would like almost put, each day would have different themes, to start with, because I know to say to my musicians that when they have to create one post every day, they're like, oh.
I know, who have a harder time, like that's so much work.
Get to know you also, because there's several sides to you, and also you don't have to share every sides to you, but you can choose the sides that you want to share. And if you're interested in sports, and if you're interested in business, like let's say Jay-Z was creating an account, he would have some him making music, but then he would create some content around him as a businessman, and him as what the business deals and what he's involved with his business endeavor, and also what he's interested in, and research and inspiration, and what he's reading, but also he's interested in sports. So a huge part of his feed would probably be sports as well, you know?
Oh,
So that's
awesome. Yeah, I like that point that you said, because even something as simple as what are you reading right now? What books are you kind of reading? What is inspiring you? What art are you watching? What movie did you watch that gave you inspiration to write a new song? Like those are content that you could post and you could talk about, because it's one thing posting an image, but also you have the context in regards to the
yeah,
caption. When you
yeah.
write, that gives people a different understanding of what it is that you're posting. Is
Ultimate question that everyone's like, but I'm in the studio every day. I mean, there's nothing new around me. There's nothing happening, but you're creating magic. So what essentially you can sit in the same chair and have the same studio around you, but the decisions that you're making every day with your music is different. The inspirations that you're making to create your music is different. And that's all content pieces. When you're sitting working on a song, you're inspired by something, create content around that. You're also sitting there, and maybe by merging this with this, you've made a decision. Create something around that, right?
awesome.
And then so not only that, you need to create content around you, the process of you making music, but more importantly also you need to create content around you as a non-musician and other areas around you, because it's yes, it's important to sell your music, but it's also more important to sell you as an individual and what you stand for. So you need to also start thinking of creative things that you can create around you with other areas that you're interested in. Maybe you're interested in sports. Maybe you're interested in training. Maybe you're interested in gaming. What other sides to you? Because that's also influencing your music in some way or another. Content. Create content. It's that simple. Create more content. And musicians probably think, but I'm creating content. I'm creating music, right? Because that's their content. No, that now it's time to attach your music and your personality through creating content around it. So now it's time to ramp up. It's like what Gary Vaynerchuk is saying. You need to create how many pieces of content per day, because that's how you communicate, share value, and engage. So think of, I mean, social media is essentially offline, like what you get, you still meet the same people that you meet offline online. So you have the same potential, and musicians, they know the potential that they have when they meet people face to face, when they're, actually performing and whether they're sharing their magic. But you have the same potential online. They're just not optimizing it. And the way to optimize it is to create more content. Subscribe to my channel if you like what you saw today, where you will get weekly music marketing lessons from me. Yay! It's a wrap!